Hi everyone, Nhire here, and this is a Frostblaze Radar non-white wind build guide. I have been planning this build since Legion League, or at least I attempted making it. It was not exactly how it is now. It is still pretty much the same concept, although a little bit better. The original idea was to make a white wind radar, and I had a plan for pretty much the whole complete build about a week before the league starts, and leveled this as my third character. Mafil's effect already kicked in after 2 weeks of the league, and some items were a little bit more pricey than I actually originally thought. Not to even mention I tried buying tens of white winds and corrupting them for attack speed, crit chance, or anything useful really, like crit multiplier even, which in the end was pretty dumb, since a really good roll for 20-30 chaos is actually even better than an accepted roll with attack speed implicit. After realizing the defenses of the build are simply not good enough and it lacked a lot of utility, I decided to swap to a Claw, just so I could maintain the 95% chance to evade, which I could only achieve with a Jade Flask, with increased evasion rating on it. And after changing, the weapon damage felt a little bit flat. After making changes, it was just a little bit weaker in damage. It was way better in defense, but well, damage was lacking quite a lot. Then some harvest crafting happened, and the build is in a really good spot right now. Great with defense, acceptable single targets, and amazing clay speed. The machine crafting got a little bit out of hand, and in the end this build did not end up too cheap. It is pretty expensive at the moment, I gotta say. A lot of its elements can be exchanged for weaker components, and it will obviously lower its DPS quite a lot. And while it's acceptable for the clay speed, it is not for single targets, and we lose a ton of DPS. For example, my current gear is at say about 30x if we are talking about price from the last league. However, this league, I think if you actually do quite a lot of maps and you do amass quite a lot of arguments and add and remove all these crafts from the harvest, you can probably make all of this stuff yourself, especially since I did make my chest, my belt, my weapon, and my rings all by myself. So it is doable. You don't have to buy this stuff, you just have to do it yourself if you want to actually go for an extra mile and dedicate some of your time to gather all the crafts and just get things done. With my current gear and skill tree at level 95, I reached 6 million DPS, along with about 6k life. I think at the moment it's 5900, but it will go up with a single skill point that I just need to put in right now. And with that chance to blind, which I got from the claws, and reduce accuracy, along with extra chance to evade, dodge, and all this extra stuff as a survivability, I can actually maintain the 95% chance to evade, 50% chance to dodge, along with a 22% chance to block, meaning the normal attacks, which are not spells, barely even hit me. For example, in pretty much every single fight I had with the Guardians, that you can probably see one of the clips going on right now, I've been hit max once, if even, and this was not, there was not a one-shot obviously. I did survive every single fight while recording this video. I did about 11 Guardian map just so you could get enough footage, and I haven't died a single time. In fact, I haven't even gotten below 40% a single time, and the only one who actually hit me strong enough was the Phoenix. And I think Minotaur hit me once, but it wasn't even a direct hit, that was one of these stones. So when it comes to the attacks, this build is really solid. However, on the other hand, when it comes to spell dodge, we are at 70%. We do have the radar ascendancy along with the series step boots, so we do have 70% at all times. You could get a corruption for the another 4 to 6% spell dodge to get yourself capped at 75%, but I would have to buy like 40-50 pairs of the boots, and I'm too lazy for that, so we're gonna skip on it. Anyways, so this is the conclusion of the build, and in a second I'll just tell you about my gear. Oh, and by the way, this build can be pretty cold.
Serious map.
Okay, we are back in the game, and this is basically the gear. So actually, let's close this up. And yeah, for the weapon, we're using a physical claw. The first idea was to actually use a flat cold damage claw, since that was pretty much the only thing that came to my head when I was planning to use a white wind. So, well, since the white wind is already a flat cold damage kind of weapon, I just figured I would go for a flat cold weapon. And I still should have it somewhere even in my stash right here. Where exactly though? I still have a probably not. They put it away somewhere? Oh yeah, this one here. Got it. Right, so basically what I did is give myself an essence, Deafening Essence of Zeal for the 30% attack speed, after which I basically tried to fracture it. And I did, I think, 6 attempts until I finally got this. After which I just crafted fire damage on it because it was for a different build. This was for my Molten Strike Gladiator. And I was planning to basically use this. I wanted to just, well, recraft it a little bit so I could get cold damage on it, so it would be useful for the White Wind. For the White Wind, for this previously White Wind trader. But in the end, well, I tried just to check damage. I tried this one, and it's way better. And well, in the end, this is a 479.6, I think, PDPS claw. It has really nice crit chance, 7.74%, as well as a whole lot of intelligence, which basically makes me free to do whatever the hell I want. I don't have to spend points on intelligence on my tree. I don't have to get intelligence on my rings, on my amulet, anything like this. And this basically frees up quite a lot of space for my gear, so I'm a little bit more free when it comes to that. And it feels pretty good. For the ring, number 1, we got Mark of the Elder. That's pretty common sense when it comes to the cold builds, basically. You got physical damage on it, you got cold damage on it, you got attack damage on it. Attack damage scales everything all together. Physical damage gets 100% converted to cold damage anyway, so that's nice because we do use Frost Blades, and we do have the 40% conversion right here, which goes to the 100% mark. And overall, it's pretty nice. That's the best, probably the best DPS ring we can get for this build. It's probably even best in slot, to be honest with you. For the rank number 2, we have one of my creations. This is the Horrorbane. T1 cold damage to spells and attacks, T1 accuracy rating, T1 all res, T1 cast enemies as Assassin's Mark, and T1 all damage with a crafted life. I know I can recraft the life and try to go for like 79 life, but I just don't wanna, because what's the point? But yeah, this rank is entirely insane when it comes to DPS. It covers a lot of my accuracy rating. I don't have to worry about that stuff. Using some resistances, so I don't have to worry about the lacking resistances. It's basically overall a really nice rank. Although I'm thinking if I should maybe if I should have actually made it as a Opal ring, maybe the Vermilion one. Although I don't really need much life since I don't really get hit anyway. But yeah, Opal ring would probably be a little bit better. For the amulet, this is actually the cheapest item for my builds, probably the cheapest one. I just got myself a ring that has 2 huge damage modifiers on it, as much life as I can get, and just an open prefix or open suffix so I can craft some extra damage on it, and that's basically it. There's nothing else to it. That's basically the essence of it. You can obviously just go for something way better. This is like 15 chaos, I think, or something like this. Although the Claws of the Falcon, which I have anointed here, require golden oil, so it's a little bit expensive. The golden oils at the time are about 45 chaos, so it is a little bit expensive. It's several times more expensive than the amulet itself, but no big deal. For the helmet, just Draconia. They don't have an enchantment, since the Draconia of like Frostblade's damage is about 10x or something. Blood Rage is pretty much similar, so there's not many things I can use. Obviously I could go for something like the Essence Mark effect, or I don't know, whatever else, but I don't know, I just thought, why the hell not? So yeah, in this case that would be the cheapest helmet, the cheapest element of the whole build. You can buy a Draconia for a chaos maybe. A decent roll would be 5-10 maybe. Alright, for the body armor, I made this one myself as well. It's T2 flat life, T1 max life, double T2 resistances, and a T1 crit chance with a crafted prefix for spell dodge. I specifically needed a chest like this, so it would have an open prefix, just so I can craft the spell dodge, because I need to get as much spell dodge as possible, since spell dodge and damage over time are the only things that can actually kill me. This was actually really easy to do. Honestly, to do something like this, all you have to do is just give yourself an item level 86 Elder Chest, whatever base you want. You can be Astral Plate, it can be something worse. In this case, I took this one mostly because I don't have too much strength, and I didn't really want to get like 50 strength on a single ring, and I didn't want to get 30 strength on one of the big nodes on the tree. So I took this base, which is a hybrid of armor and diversion rating. I did go to my harvest, and then I basically just crafted those with reforged an item with an attack modifier, and I was hoping for double life basically. So I got this one with double life. I think I got the armor and evasion increase, which I removed with the remove defense modifier, after which I just locked the spell dodge on it, and then just used Argument Fire and Argument Cold. I got both of those with exactly these rolls on the first try. So that was quite lucky. I think he's gonna take maybe a few more, like on average, to get like decent rolls. It doesn't have to be T1, T2, or T3 even. It can be something lower. You can get some chaos resistance because that's useful as well. But this is pretty much what I got. Okay, for the shield, this shield was pretty cheap as well, about 20k I think. What you need is just spell dodge. That's pretty much ideal because you want to cover that. Attack speed, damage wise, as much life as you can. Some resistances maybe. You can give yourself an open suffix if you want for 5, so you can get 5% chance to deal double damage, which is probably the best damage modifier for a shield in this case. In my case, I just got some cold res, which I could actually remove because I don't need cold resist at the moment. I'm actually capped with cold quite a lot. It's 101% capped cold. I don't need it obviously, but early on this was basically fire res, so my fire res was 127, while my cold res was even lower. And that was before I got this ring here, and this ring, the previous ring, used to give me fire res as well, which basically made me unable to use my Wise Oak. So after changing a couple things, it's actually nice. At this point, I could basically just delete the fire cold damage on it, and basically just add another hybrid life roll, delete the cold, and then just give myself a double damage craft. But I would rather just buy myself a different shield with probably no resistances whatsoever, unless I would get some all res on it, and yeah, and just straight up go for an entirely different one. This is 20k or so, maybe 25. Nothing special really. You can get something way better if you want to look for it. Up to you really. Anyway, for the boots, at series steps, this one's are corrupted. I guess somebody was trying to get the same thing I was planning to do. It's just 1% one off for the flat life. Although overall it's pretty much the best in slot for this build if you want to cap your dodge chance. I was using rare boots with 2 reses on it, movement speed, 10% chance to dodge spells, and about 80 life, yeah. And well, I'd rather just get some extra dodge chance and just cover the resistances or something else. So this was a better choice to, well, make yourself survive more stuff. For the gloves, yeah, actually I made gloves myself as well. I was looking for the strike, for the extra strike against enemies. I wouldn't have to use Ancestral Call, but I didn't get it. I did get the Intimidate and did get the Cult and Lightning Crest, which is really nice. And at that point, I basically knew that I just need life on it, but I also wanted some damage mod on it. Intimidate increases my damage by quite a lot. It's 10% increased damage taken. It's a debuff for 10% increased damage taken to all the enemies that I hit, which is really nice. And considering I have about 10 to 11 hits per second while farming, it's really good to stack. It's really easy to stack it. Everybody's gonna have Intimidate on pretty much all the time. Bosses have it on pretty much instantly, since also I use my totems, which also apply it. So it's a really nice damage buff. It's also on a spiked gloves base, so that's a nice damage boost on it. And I did craft it with 2 life modifier segments, and I did end up with 83 life. This can go up a little bit more from what it can go up another 4 max life. Although it's not perfect, it's 83 life is still really good with me, and I don't complain. And I just finished it up with the global crit chance and elemental damage if a dollar crit recently craft from the crafting bench. For the last item, there's a Stygian, which I also created myself. It's, from what I know, it's double T2 and single T1, is it? No, it's a triple T2 resistance. It's mostly because this belt is actually item level 73, and this was not a planned item. This was a complete accident. I did get double T2 res along with a T1 life, and then I was like, shit, that's pretty good, man. And I simply just crafted an attack modifier on it. It got this elemental damage, and then I think I did try crafting the lightning crest about 3 or 4 times, and finally got T2, finish it out with 20% damage. This belt is insane, and the only thing obviously that could be fixed is getting a better base. Well, this item cannot be fixed. I mean, it can be a little bit stronger when it comes to elemental damage of attacks, but if I had to like change this belt into something else, yeah, just need a better base, craft the literally same thing, but with higher elemental damage of attack skills. And that's pretty much it. Overall, resistances, life, damage, amazing. I gotta say, it's great. For the flasks, we're just using a Eternal Life Flask with increased recovery rate, which is pretty much my favorite. I like using it, since I do have a lot of life gain on hit, so it's pretty useful for me to have some like over the time heal while I have instant heal. And overall, it's basically working all the time. I like it. It's just nice. I think life flasks are basically a thing of preference to begin with, so well, bite me. I don't know, if you don't like it, you can bite me, to be honest. Right, for the next flask, we are using a diamond one. It's an increased duration attack speed. And there's nothing else to it, to be honest. I just wanted it to last as long as possible, and that's basically a damage flask, as much damage as you can. Extra attack speed, extra crit chance, good stuff, extra damage. Then we have a Cinder Swallow with increased crit chance on it. It's basically the same thing. However, in this case, the onslaught I get from it is basically useless, and the only things I'm using it for is the crit chance increase, along with the enemies ignited by you during the flash effect take 10% increased damage. This increased damage is applied to every single kind of damage, including poison, bleed, everything else. And this is a cold build, sure, but I do have a single damage fire mod, which amounts to 187 to 238 fire damage on a hit. And this fire mod is actually from this shield that 11 to 14 fire damage allows me to ignite enemies whenever I crit, and this basically from the get-go increases my damage by 10%. Then we have the Bottled Faith, which is actually something I bought yesterday. I didn't really want to use it, since when a build goes for Bottled Faith, it basically becomes like really expensive, I gotta say, especially since last league the Bottled Faith was about 15-20x. I bought this one specifically for 7x, I didn't divine it, I bought it with 26 quality already. I guess somebody just changes their build or something like this, so they wanted to get rid of it. The DPS could be increased quite a bit just by divining this thing, but I just didn't do it yet. Maybe I'll do, I don't know, probably yeah. Great damage boost, pretty much amazing damage boost, especially with all the life regeneration you get by being on the consecrated ground. Yeah, overall, pretty much the best flask you can get for the damage. And the last one being the Wise Oak, classic stuff, 14% pen, didn't get 15, don't know why. I got this flask on the second day of making this build, I think, or even the first one, didn't change it once. Qualityed it up using the Hillock from the Syndicate, and that's pretty much it. And as you probably noticed already, I don't have a single defensive flask. I used to use the Jade for increased evasion rating, since at the moment I have 11.4k evasion rating, which just amounts to about 50% chance to evade. However, I do get 30% more chance to evade while I have my onslaught, so it is basically increased to 65%. And additionally, since I am playing a radar, I do have this thing right here. Nearby enemies have 50% less accuracy rating while you're phasing, which is all the time. And additionally, which one of this was again? That was this one. 10% chance to blind enemies and critical strike. So everything is blinded constantly, and blind reduces the chance, to hit by half. So basically, I have 65% chance to reduce accuracy rating, and this makes me have about 93 or 94% chance to evade, which, just against the attacks on their own, makes me pretty much impossible to kill. When it comes to the items, that's pretty much it. For the links, I am using my Frostblades right here. Frostblades with Awakened Added Cold 520, Awakened Cold Pen 520, Multi-Strike 21-0, sadly, Elemental Damage of Attacks 2020, and Dancer Cold 2020, which I changed for the Ruthless 2020 against bosses. For everything else, pretty much precision, just to get some extra accuracy rating. Faster attacks with Blood Magic and Worm Blades. And we've got Ancestral Warchief for the single target. We do have Ancestral Protector for the single target. Blood Rage 2020. Then Summon Lightning Golem. Meat Shield with minion life so it doesn't die. This is a new idea. I don't know if it's gonna work. Because this guy is so easy to kill, it's ridiculous. I have to summon him so often, it's dumb. He's got about 15,500 life at the moment, at level 19. I think if I got him to level 21, he should be a little bit tanky, but still it's probably gonna be scrapped idea. But I don't really have anything else I could use in these sockets, since I already have pretty much everything I want. For the other stuff, Stone Golem here, which I was using earlier, this one's way tankier, and it was really nice for the leveling process. However, right now, since it's only 105 life regenerated per second, it's not as useful. Then we have Frostbomb, which doesn't even have to be leveled up if you don't want to deal damage with it. You just want the exposure for the minus 25 cold resistance. There's Hatred and there's Herald Device, which I still haven't corrupted, and actually why not just do it now? It's probably just gonna drop, who the hell cares, right? Got number 1, -1, and number 2, fuck. Wrong button, and nothing happened. So in the end we lost 1 level on the Hatred, not a big deal. It would increase my damage that much, but yeah, has to be done, right? Has to be done. On the other hand, I think I didn't corrupt. I'm not even gonna try corrupting this one. Actually, why the fuck not? Oof, nothing happened. Meh. Right, that's pretty much for the items. That's pretty much all of it for the items. For the tree, the POB is gonna be included anyway, but I will explain a little bit about the tree as well. Obviously, we start in this area, and even though this is a claw build, I did start with a sword. I did start with a Princess Sword, and after this I went to the Elwha's Mirage for the elemental damage increase and the lightning damage, and I did use Wake of Distraction and the other things for basically as much flat elemental damage as possible, so I could do a lot of damage. So well, I went through this area, I did get this up to this point, went right to the swords for the crits, ignored the blockchains on it, went up right to the shadow area, got all my necessary stuff, and since there was an elemental build, I didn't use this spot right here. And if you want to use a flat cold weapon, you can ignore this as well, and you will just have to go through this path right here. It's gonna save you a couple points. After you have yourself a decent claw, you can just respec from the swords, go for the daggers, go for the claws, get you cold damage stacking. And well, this is basically extra, by the way, so you can get it later on about level 85, 90 or so. But yeah, after this you gotta go here, since there's quite a lot of life. There's attack speed, global accuracy rating, dexterity, life regeneration, that's good useful stuff. And then you can just finish it up, as I said, with this area here, along with the extra attack speed and elemental damage of attack skills of the shields. And as you can see, I'm already putting some points right here. My chance to hit is actually at 100% right now, and 96% against evasive monsters, which I don't think I actually even need to spec into. I'm probably just gonna leave this single point here. However, there is 20% melee damage here from my Timeless Jewel, which makes me kind of want to take it. So I don't know, we'll see what's gonna happen, if my chance to hit is gonna decrease or not with the level. I don't know when I'm gonna let this build go. The one's level 94. So probably 2 more levels at most. I don't really want to play with the same character for too long. And yeah, probably the last thing to show you is my Timeless Jewel, which is the Lethal Pride from Rakiara. It's a really good one, I gotta say. That's a 1% life regeneration, and that's a 20% melee damage, that's 50% melee crit multi, 50% melee crit multi, 15% melee crit multi, that's juicy, I know. There's Ignites, you inflict to deal damage 10% faster, useless for us, 20% melee damage again, nice stuff, and reduce damage from crit strikes, not a big deal, useful stuff, why the hell not, and yeah, 20% melee damage here as well. Overall it's pretty nice. I did check about 11 or so Timeless Jewels, they're pretty cheap. You can just buy yourself like 10 of them for, I don't know what's the current price actually, so I wouldn't resell it, but let's say there are 20 chaos for example. Let's say there are 20 chaos, so you buy 10 of them or so, you check every single one of them, and as long as you have like 3 or 4 really good extra nodes on your tiny nodes, extra buffs on your tiny nodes, then that's nice. You can keep it at the point, just sell everything else for 1 chaos less. People will buy it anyway. I'm sure you're gonna sell all of them back the same day, so you don't have to worry about wasting your money or anything like that. And this basically is that's pretty much the end of the guide. So if you liked it, I'm glad you did. See you and have a nice one. Enjoy the league, guys. Do some crafting. See ya.